every Monday. Let's take a break and get to the next man who's here every Monday. My man Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan. He was in the dog pound yesterday at First Energy Stadium for that Browns victory. We'll get his takeaway live in the house. We'll talk about the baseball playoffs and the Royals as they're halfway to a trip to the World Series and the way they keep doing it, man. Just amazing. We'll talk NCAA news over the weekend, Buckeyes, and more. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan coming up next here on the Sports Fix.
We here at the Sports Fix are very in-depth when we interview the sports stars.
Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa, and then we were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa. What are you talking about? Serious thrill issues, dude. Oh, awesome. Oof.
Maybe not, but you should still listen.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, voice of St. Ignatius Wildcat Football, and you're listening to the Sports Fix.
I'm Pro Football Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. There's just one place where students are students first and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school. High school sports help young people become confident leaders and role models and use the skills developed today to do even bigger things in life tomorrow. High school sports, a winning part of a complete education.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
In baseball, miracles can happen when a team works together.
2 out, bottom of the ninth, down to their last strike.
The same is true when the Fight B has teamed up with Stand Up to Cancer. All stand up together.
41,000 on their feet.
We can make cancer history.
Now everybody's standing.
What a buzz in this building.
This is beyond a dream. Stand up with MLB at standuptocancer.org.
The Sports Fix is now available every day on the world's largest internet radio service, iHeartRadio. Download the free iHeartRadio app, subscribe to the show, and get your fix.
At the corner of Carnegie and Ontario, it's basketball time at the Q. Cleveland rocks!
Have you gotten your copy of Cleveland's Finest yet? Highlighting the best moments, players, and media members in Cleveland sports history? In-depth, personal interviews with some of the top names in Cleveland sports fill the pages of this incredible book.
Joe Gray,
Fred McLeod,
Hector Marinero.
Discussing the most intimate and sometimes controversial details of the largest moments in our town's sports history.
The Indians have won the divisional title.
A perfect game, but let's live. It's first time in a playoff.
It's the first book media that covered it and the fans that watched. Finally, the true stories are told. From a miracle in Richfield to the NBA Finals.
The Detroit Pistons have been booby-trapped.
From a perfect game to a World Series one pitch from victory. From a Wildcat High School dynasty to the golden days of the Browns, Barons, and Crunch, this book will change the way the entire sports nation looks at Cleveland.
Cleveland, you will have an October to remember.
Cleveland's Finest by Vince McKee is this year's must-have book for every Cleveland sports fan. Available now at Amazon.com. Get your copy today. Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by GV Art and Design. It's not just a shirt, it's a statement. GVArtwork.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Fix live across the Sports Fix Radio Network. J-Rock, Jerry Myers back with you. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan with me in just a moment. You can keep it rolling with us. Talk to me on Facebook and Twitter and email. Speaking of walk this way, I wonder how many Browns fans walked out of the stadium not sure how to walk out, looking at those Steelers fans walking next to them going, man, all right, I'm not just talking about winning, but we haven't stomped y'all like this in a while. How do we do this again? It doesn't take you long to figure it out, though. But anyways, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at TheSportsFix, CLE. Email us, TheSportsFix. And Wismar was there. He knows how it felt walking out of that stadium. Let's talk to him, get a glimpse from inside First Energy Stadium, and we'll talk some baseball and college football and all the weekend's activities as well. I'm referring to my man, Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan, and with us here every Monday on the Sports Fix. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Jerry. It's a great Monday.
I know it is.
It was really an emotional time at the stadium yesterday. I mean, I'm sure there were lots of people sitting at home in their family rooms doing the same thing, but I'll tell you, when things go well, there's always a lot of, high-fiving of strangers. And the thing of it is, after 15 years and down where I am, and I'm not in the dog pound, by the way, I'm in 129, which is sort of the end zone extended to the side. But I'm in the second row off the field, and you've been with these guys for 15 years now, and they're your friends, and you email them and you talk to them and you swap tickets with them or whatever, and you become acquainted with. So these are people that you know now, and I was thinking about it. You see these people 8 times, sometimes 9 or 10 times a year, which is more often than you see most of your close friends. You grow attached to them. There was a lot of emotion down there yesterday when the Browns finally stopped the Steelers on down there in the fourth quarter, up 31-3, and you knew that, 6 or 7 minutes to go, and there wasn't going to be any collapse. There wasn't going to be any nail bend as we somehow always managed to do. There was some emotion. There was not guys with it. Basically saying, hey man, we deserve this. We waited a long time for this. How sweet it is to not only beat the Steelers, but to just wax them. And it was really something. It was really an emotional time, really unlike what I've been around down there, because this was such a huge win. So it was just a real cool thing. And walking out of there, by the way, there was not nearly the numbers, and I'm sure you could probably tell
Steelers fans.
There have been times over the last 15 years where there's been 25 to 30 to maybe even 35 or 40% Steeler fans at the Steelers games at Cleveland Brown Stadium. There was nothing close to that this time. I'm going to guess less than 5%, maybe 2% Steeler fans in that stadium, which says something about the enthusiasm in town around the team, and people weren't going to move their tickets on eBay and get them snatched up by Steeler people. So that was really good. And the only reason it wasn't as loud as it has been in previous weeks is because the game wasn't that close, and there wasn't the intensity, let's say, coming down the game when I told you the place was as loud as I've ever heard it. But it was just great fun, and just one of those things that you want to just keep getting more of it. And I remember seeing one thing after the game that Pettine had told the players: you control the volume in the stadium by how you play. It feeds on each other, but I thought that was a very interesting statement by Pettine to tell his team that, hey man, you want to get this, how the crowd can help you play and perform. Well, you control the volume. I thought that was a cool statement.
And you know what? Perfect setup for what I wanted to say, too. I keep saying this about Mike Pettine. Let's not just talk about on the field and that stuff. There's the one thing that I really, truly respect about him from the very first second that he spoke, that I got to see him talk and listen to him and all of that, he doesn't lie. Like, I know, okay, we use the term coach speak and all that stuff. It's lying is what it is. It's a fancy word for lying to the media. Disinformation, misinformation, whatever you want to call it. It's their term for lying about things that they don't want to tell you the truth about. Check the tape, that's a lie too. However you want to chalk it up. And the one thing, while he's still in protocol and he does use some coach speak, Mike Pettine really doesn't BS any of us, and I think he knows that he's been Joe Blow. He's been you and me that's been sitting at home or sitting in the media circle listening to him answer questions, and when you go, well, what happened on that failed fourth down? Well, I've got to check the tape. You know what happened. You were there. Tell us what you were thinking. We don't want you to go check the tape, that kind of stuff. And yesterday, one of the first things he said is, I'm not going to tell you the lie that this is not a big victory. I'm not going to stand up here and be the one to tell you that, because you know as much as I do that that's not true, and those guys know that that's not true. This was important that we win this game, and it is a big deal that we won this game, and I'm not going to say otherwise. Yeah, that's true. He's a straight shooter, and for those of us that aren't part of the working beat media, I don't get the chance to see him, so I have to take my cue from what the beat writers do say. And everybody from Grossi to Murray Kay to all the people that cover the team day to day, all I've heard from them ever since Pettine got hired was how just impressed they were with the guy, how
what a straight shooter he was and how he said all the right things in all the right situations and didn't appear to be out of his depth like a Shermer or others may have been in previous regimes. So that just and it starts and it sort of just builds as the weeks and the months go by since Pettin's been hired. The people that are around him are saying, yeah, they're impressed with the guy, and that's all you can go by until you start seeing the product on the field, and the product on the field has shown again some of those same signs as we've all seen. So you've got to be impressed. And the thing that kind of got to me, and I sent you that, I heard you mention to John how I sent you the one article from Bill Roden, the New York Times, and I because I'm in the second row there, I can really just kind of pick out people on the sidelines. And at one point in time, the game yesterday, I saw a guy walking by in front of me, escorted by a security guy. I looked down and I said, boy, that looks like Peter King. And I nudged the guy next to me and said, that Peter King looks like Peter King. And he said, I think it is. And sure enough, Peter King leads his Monday morning quarterback column this morning with the thing, I don't know if you saw it, the headline, Is It Real, Cleveland? Yep. And basically, after all the stories in the NFL yesterday, including the Dallas-Seattle game and all the big matchups, he leads his column with Cleveland, Ohio, and the Cleveland Browns. And, I'm sure that was in part because he was at the game. But I don't know why a Bill Roden, who had a Dateline Cleveland on his column, obviously was in the press box yesterday, and Peter King as well. Not, sure it's Cleveland-Pittsburgh, but not the marquee matchup in the NFL on that day, surely. But those guys were both in Cleveland because, like you said, this is a national story now, and it's a feel-good story as much as that term gets beat up. But two national writers, New York Times guy and Peter King, probably the best-known NFL writer going, are in Cleveland to cover this game. And I just think that's telling. That is, certainly a step in the right direction, and it's a good thing for the town.
You know what's more telling, too, is, and being in the media, and you are a bit with your writing as well, you understand the idea of setting things up for future articles and you thinking in advance and planning and getting credentialed for certain things. Peter King and those Bill Roden, those guys were not in Cleveland yesterday to write the article about the coming back to earth for the Cleveland Browns. They clearly anticipated the continuation, and maybe they didn't anticipate a blowout, but I think they anticipated Cleveland winning that game and continuing the story that they planned on writing, because otherwise you're just writing a 2-paragraph story about how things got back to normal in Cleveland. So I think that you don't go out of your way to make that trip to Cleveland with other things to compete with your time and your schedule of which game you're going to go personally visit if you didn't perhaps anticipate that the narrative may be Cleveland wins and gets the monkey off their back and this good feel-good story continues. And, we were talking about some of the things that Mike Pettin said, and I've got his comments post-game here, and I was looking too. One thing I wanted to talk about, and I'm sure some people at first, I think early in the game, some people texting me at least, were a little frustrated, and Mike Pettin directly responded to this, to the lack of pressure on the quarterback, especially in the early part of the game. And you know what? This is almost like taking a few steps backwards to go forwards. And they talked about how they completely simplified and streamlined the defense. They basically cut blitzes out. They didn't completely cut them out, but they went with less pressure, more playing in your base situations, everybody staying in your position, stop worrying about trying to get to the quarterback because they were getting hit with those cutback runs and those big chunk plays like Mike Pettin likes to call it. And you could see the difference. While what started out as a bit more frustrating by, man, these guys are not getting any pressure, all of a sudden you realize they're also not giving up any big plays anymore either. So he sacrificed a bit of the pressure intentionally. He said you could have put Jim O'Neill's play call sheet for the game on the back of a business card. That's how simple it was with the game plan that they put together going into the game. So maybe that was it. It was simply a fact of, you know what, forget all this other stuff. Let's get down to running 5 main plays and keeping these guys in their gaps and not letting these guys kill us with big counter runs and big plays over the top. And obviously it made a difference.
Yeah, it sure did. And of course that wasn't, we didn't know that was the scheme going in. And I was among those people that was saying, geez, they're just not getting any heat on Roethlisberger. And I saw time and time again